And a good morning to you. Wake up Wenatchee Valley for a Thursday, 17th of October, 2019, the day before the weekend. Eric Grandstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz, who woke up, well, as we all do, under the weather, but Dan was specifically under the weather today, not feeling so sharp. So you got me for the next half hour. And then we get into all the other stuff that we do here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll have your latest local news coming up here in just a few moments. Catch you up to date on horrible situation up in Omak. Tell you more about that coming up. Also, a wet weather forecast. You'll wake up and the pavement around the house going to be a little wet. Car windshield's going to be a little wet because of some rain overnight last night. Going to get a nice morning, but then we'll talk more about more rain coming up and lots of rain in the mountains right now and for the foreseeable future. That's with your forecast coming up. Mike Magnotti has his opinion, and then coming up the last portion of the show, Dan sat down with Dr. Julie Smith of Confluence Health here the other day to talk about Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we'll do that coming up as we continue here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. But before we get to anything else, let's take a look around our Valley View cameras this morning. And there you see, absolutely gorgeous morning. Megan, is that the sun glinting off of the hill in the foreground there? That must be. Yeah, how about that sunrise this morning? We're not actually getting to the sunrise until another about 20 minutes from now. Thanks to, of course, LocalTel's Sky-Fi wireless network for providing us our Valley View cameras and a look at a rising and shining Wenatchee Valley this morning. Good morning, and welcome to your Thursday. Let's go to camera 2 here this morning and see what we have for the Lake Chelan area. This is looking up towards Manson and Wapato Point, and you can see the headlights on, that is Chelan, right? No. Oh, this is Orondo. Oh, okay. It kind of does look like Chelan, though, doesn't it? But I was confused about the headlights on the other side of the water there, and that's actually 97A folks making their way into the Wenatchee Valley this morning. So good morning to Orondo. You see kind of a high overcast. We'll get you details on that forecast coming up. Camera 3 this morning is going to take us to, this is where? I have no idea. Union Valley. Okay, we're looking from Manson, right? Not to Manson, but from Manson across Lake Chelan. And there's Chelan this morning, and a good morning to you. And camera 4 this morning will take us to Quincy. This is Monument Hill looking off to the west, correct? Okay, all right. You see the stubble of the grasslands in the foreground, and, well, not a lot of heavy cloud cover off to our west. But, again, thanks to LocalTel Sky-Fi wireless network for providing us our Valley View cameras this morning. As we get through this Monday, the 17th of October, let's see what's in store for us weather-wise here today. As we look at it, they say a 30% chance of rain mainly after 11 o'clock this morning. So they say the clouds are going to come in today. Otherwise, partly sunny, high temperature in the upper 50s today. Southwest winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not much as far as measurable rain is concerned, but that will change coming up tonight. We're going to have cloudy skies, rain likely after 11 o'clock, and then it will clear up overnight, although 70% chance of rain for the evening hours coming up tonight. The low of 42, as you see on their screen there. Tomorrow we're going to get some showers in the morning and then sunshine in the afternoon. Also might get a little windy tomorrow afternoon in time for football. 55, our high on Friday. And by the way, the high yesterday, 53 in Wenatchee, 42 the overnight low. Normally, about this time of year, we're at 60 for the high, 40 for the world low. If you're looking for records, 77 was the record high for this date, set in 1960. And 28 chilly degrees, the record low in 1984. Sunrise, as I mentioned, was this morning at 7:22. Sunset tonight at 6:09. Looking at the weekend forecast there, Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, going to be pretty wet, especially on Saturday with that 80% chance of rain. And that's going to be through the day on Saturday. High temperature Saturday around 50 degrees, and then warming up a little bit on Sunday, with that rain chance diminishing somewhat, but still a chance of rain at 40%. High Sunday expected around 56 degrees. As we look into the first part of next week, we're going to see that 50-50 chance of rain all the way through Tuesday night, and then maybe things straightening out by Wednesday with some sunshine, highs upper 50s to low 60s, nighttime lows in the 40s. Now, if you're traveling here today, as far as mountain passes are concerned, they're actually in pretty good shape this morning other than the rain showers. I was looking at the pass cams here earlier, and lots of water up in the higher elevations in western Washington, really getting dumped on, and looking at some high rivers for the west side. But just hydroplaning, that's the thing to worry about if you're traveling the mountain passes here today or this weekend. We're going to take a break at 5 minutes past the hour and come back with your latest local news. Sports news on the way, too. It's a Thursday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Eric Granstrom in for Dan Kuntz. We'll have more right after this.
My first experience with CVCH, I had to come in with my daughter by myself with a cut in my hand that required stitches. And the care and compassion at CVCH was really significant, that they took the care and compassion and made me feel more as a human instead of just a patient there. The care they have for their community all around, inside and outside the clinic, is what I feel like is different. And that's what makes me want to come back to CVCH and recommend them to my friends and family.
Hi, I'm Laura Jakes, and I'm running for re-election to the Wenatchee School Board Position 1. I am honored to have served the community on the board for the past 16 years. My commitment as a board member is to continue to put kids first in every decision, make prudent financial choices, and support our district staff with strategic vision for the future. I am Laura Jakes, and I'm asking for your vote to serve our kids, schools, and community on the Wenatchee School Board.
Paid for by Wenatchee for Jakes.
Well, partly cloudy skies in the Wenatchee Valley and north central Washington, 43 degrees in Wenatchee at 7 minutes past the hour. Eric Granstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz with your early morning news this morning. The body of an East Wenatchee man missing for 3 weeks was recovered Sunday. A boater fishing the western Columbia shoreline discovered the body of 62-year-old Michael Acon near the Wenatchee Apple Yard. Chelan County Coroner Wayne Harris said Acon apparently died by drowning. His identification was found in his pocket. Acon disappeared from his apartment in late September. Police said he lived with schizophrenia and dementia and left his medication behind. Well, an Omak man is accused of fatally stabbing one man and injuring another in an early Tuesday altercation. 19-year-old Taylor Ray Davis was booked into the Okanagan County Jail on Tuesday night. He's suspected of stabbing 31-year-old Keith Reihart to death at an Omak home about 3:30 in the morning. Reihart was found dead in the middle of the street. A 25-year-old relative of Reihart also suffered knife wounds and was still hospitalized. Omak Police Chief Jeff Copland said a fight among the three men outside the home apparently escalated to involve a baseball bat. Davis allegedly produced a knife and stabbed the two men before fleeing. Police arrested him at a home on Sand Flat Road outside Omak. He faces likely charges of second-degree murder and first-degree assaults. Police say a Wenatchee man found sleeping in his car had a large quantity of drugs he intended to sell. 29-year-old Jared Andrew Nidro allegedly had nearly 2 ounces of heroin and just over an ounce of methamphetamine in his parked Subaru when police discovered him unconscious behind the wheel on Saturday. Police say they also found 58 OxyContin pills and a stolen .25 caliber pistol in the vehicle, plus other evidence that Nidro intended to sell the drugs. He remains in the Chelan County Jail. Prosecutors are considering 5 possible felony charges. Police say Nidro has 3 previous convictions for heroin sales in the state of Oregon. Well, outgoing East Wenatchee City Mayor Steve Lacy has agreed to delay proceeding with finding a new police chief until after a new mayor is elected. At the Tuesday night city council meeting, the mayor tabled a plan to hire an outside consultant to conduct a search for a new police chief to replace Randy Harrison. Harrison has announced he's retiring December 31st. The mayor said he would welcome the opportunity to participate in the selection process, but he said he didn't want to give the impression that he wanted to control it.
So I wanted to allay the concerns, if there are any, and it's been expressed to me that there are possibly some along those lines, as a preliminary to the decision that I want the council to make, and that is whether to go ahead with this selection or whether to delay it, possibly for that reason or any other that you might think of.
Chief Harrison's departure comes after an independent outside review of the department identified several problems, including mismanagement. Lacey explained it was for that reason he proposed hiring an outside firm to conduct the search.
Given the situation the last year and a half here at the city, which I won't go into, it seems to me that having an outside voice and consultant and the expertise associated with that and making this choice as an aid to, again, the next mayor and the people that are going to be involved would be beneficial. But ultimately, that's your choice.
Council members, including the two mayoral candidates, Tim Dietering and Jerry Lee Crawford, who agreed that the process should be tabled until the November election. Motorists who access the Senator George Siller Bridge from Highway 28, Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee, could see some changes in the future. NCW Life's Steve Hare reports. Great drone footage of the new roundabout. We'll have Steve's story coming up in just a moment. Washington has upgraded the threat posed by invasive northern pike from level 1 to level 3. The move is in preparation for an invasive species emergency should the predatory fish make it below Grand Coulee Dam. If an emergency is declared, Fish and Wildlife officials would be in line for more funding to target the fish. Northern pike eat salmon and have devastated some fisheries. Last year, a pike was found 10 miles from Grand Coulee Dam. Do we have that story from Steve ready to go? We're working on that for you, so hold on just a moment as you take a look at that lovely northern pike. They're incredible, aggressive fish that eat tons, and they are just invasive. They're not supposed to be here, and yet they're here. So I think we've got that story ready from Steve Hare now to talk about the changes coming up to that roundabout as you approach the Senator George Siller Bridge from Sunset Highway. Oh, it's still uploading, so we'll get that here in just a moment. Cloudy skies in our forecast today. High temperatures expected in the upper 50s, about 58 for the high today. By the way, we're at 43 degrees in Wenatchee with some showers definitely happening in the mountains, and they're supposed to reach us probably about the lunch hour here today, as we'll keep you up to date on our latest forecast here on the NCW Life Wake Up Wenatchee Valley show, as well as Grant Olson with your evening news. Grant is our in-house weather guy too, so if Grant knows anything, he knows weather. And Steve Hare knows about the changes coming to the roundabout as you approach the Senator George Siller Bridge from Sunset Highway. Steve?
DOT engineers have been studying traffic flow patterns in the area since a new roundabout was installed earlier this year. The roundabout is currently used by traffic going northbound on Sunset Highway and from Valley Mall Parkway westbound on 5th Street. Southbound drivers now use a merge lane that requires them to yield the right-of-way to cars entering the bridge from the roundabout, and that causes considerable congestion for southbound traffic, especially during the morning commute. Lauren Loebsack with DOT says engineers are currently looking at possible changes to the intersection to improve traffic flow in the area. She said details should be forthcoming by the end of this week. Steve Hare, NCW Life News.
Thank you much, Steve. We have 14 minutes past the hour here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Of course, coming up tonight, our evening news at 5, 6, and 10. Grant Olson has a preview.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, the man who fired gunshots at the CEO of Gebbers Farms 3 years ago is headed to prison. And we'll have our weekly Kennel Cameos feature from the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society. I'll let you know how long this wet weather will last here in north central Washington. And we'll have Eric Granstrom in, who'll have a look at local and national sports. That and much more coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News at 5, 6, and 10. I hope you'll join us then. Dan?
Actually, Eric. Hi, Grant. Now, the cat's out of the bag there. Speaking of cats, Actually, we have a dog on Kennel Cameos, right? Okay. We'll do that coming up a little bit later on with Megan McPherson here. By the way, if you want to get a hold of us, we have multiple ways to do so here on the old little TV station here on the corner of Yakima and Chelan in Wenatchee. You can reach out to us via email, news@ncwlife.com. You can also read the latest stories and get more info on our website, ncwlife.com. We also have a hotline. I don't know how hot it is. Maybe it's a lukewarm line at 888-NCWL. That's 888-6295. You can also look us up on Facebook, and hopefully you like us and follow us while you're there. We're going to take a break, come back, and I know about sports, and they had a rainout yesterday for the Yankees and Astros. Maybe that's why Dan's not here today. He's all bummed out because the Yankees didn't play yesterday. We'll get you more on sports coming up next on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Stay right there.
To the people of the city of Chelan, I am the most qualified candidate seeking the office of mayor. Educated, experienced, and dedicated, I will represent all the residents of Chelan to the best of my ability and be accessible to them. I am the common sense candidate to bring balance to the city's transportation, housing, and recreation. This election will determine the future of Chelan. Keep our Eastern Washington small town appearance. Vote for Bob Getty. I'm Bob Getty, and I approve this message.
In the heart of Apple Country sits Lone Pine Fruit and Espresso, a cozy cafe, a fabulous fruit stand, and an eclectic gift shop. Stop in for a hard cider, local brew, or an espresso. The cool, crisp air brings in a harvest of fresh veggies and fall fruits like pears, plums, and apples. Have lunch and choose the perfect pumpkin for your pie or porch. Celebrate the season with a trip to Lone Pine Fruit and Espresso.
"17 minutes past the hour. We have fair conditions here in the Wenatchee Valley, but clouds supposed to roll in with a chance of showers later on. 43 is our temperature right now, reaching for a high of 58. Eric Grandstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley with sports news right here. As the rubber meets the road, it's that part of the high school football season where it is getting go time. The Eastmont Wildcats have their toughest test of the season so far. Friday, they'll travel to Sunnyside to take on the Grizzlies. Eastmont, Wenatchee, Sunnyside, all undefeated in Big Nine play so far. The Wildcats look to repeat as league champs. For Eastmont coach Michael Don, part of this week's preparation has been repairing a few problems in the kicking game. Eastmont missed a couple of field goals. They had problems with the PATs in last week's game against Davis.
We had some guys that we got into some spots and we were over sliding on the inside, and then our outside guys weren't able to protect the inside, and they came through. Kicker still probably should have hit it through, but he got rattled by seeing bodies and hands and missed a few, and that's uncommon because he hadn't missed one yet this year. But it is what it is. We'll get it fixed this week.
Now, Sunnyside comes in with the Big Nine's leading passer in sophomore quarterback Logan Rodriguez. He's 5'11", 160 pounds, completes so far 120 of 190 passes for 1,565 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 70 interceptions. Coach Don says he has a full complement of people around him.
He puts a lot of faith in his playmakers. Smart kid, does a good job making decisions. They're running a lot of RPOs in their offense, so it's not necessarily drop back passing. It's look at the defense. Are they trying to stop the run? No. Okay, I've got a one-on-one with one of my two really good receivers that I like, and he'll throw it to him. And he's not afraid to just throw it up in the air and let those guys go up and get it either.
For senior cornerback Oscar Calvillo, he says this week's practice has been one about preparing for a serious passing game.
They like to throw the ball, and their two main routes are slants and verts.
Okay, so as a cornerback, what's your defensive scheme? What are you looking for, and what is your technique?
I look for what the receiver likes to do off the ball. So if he's once the ball's hiked, do I check if they're dancing or not? And then this week I'm pressing. Usually I'm off, but I got to work on that.
Okay. All right. A big pressure, isn't it? I mean, they got some pretty good receivers.
Yeah, they do. Mikey Rivera and the Sanchez kid, probably two of the best receivers in our league.
Eastmont at Sunnyside tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Meanwhile, here on the NCW Life Channel, our Friday Night Lights features the game as the Wenatchee Panthers host the Davis Pirates. It will mark the return of tight end Riley Kuntz, who's been out for 3 weeks with a knee injury.
I hyperextended it 3 weeks ago in practice on a Tuesday. Just wanted to play it safe, make sure I didn't hurt it any worse than we thought. So went and got an MRI and then found out everything's good to go. So I'm back now, back at 100%, ready to go, ready to finish out the season.
So is it mental at this point, or are you able to just go through it and not worry about it?
Yesterday and the day before that were pretty mental. I'm just kind of getting used to cutting off it again. But today I didn't even notice it today at all. So I feel great now.
Being on the sidelines for the last few weeks and watching practice and also watching the games, what has that allowed you to see maybe that you wouldn't have otherwise?
Well, it really shows just how guys step up. And Josh Bouchon and Cam Lloyd-Hammer, they both came and played great tight end reps. They played great. You notice how schemes work. When you're in a game and they call a play, you're saying, okay, this is my job, this is my assignment, I'm going to do my job, I'm going to do my assignment. When you're on the sideline, you look at it from more analytical view, like, okay, it's like 3rd and 3. And in the game, you know it too, but it's really even more so on the sideline. You see the personnel they have, and okay, we're in the 4-3 and a 4-4 front, they're going to blitz, we're going to hit a hot route, we're going to run power like Nate's rolling. So you really understand more when you're in the field, you're just playing. You kind of have it, but you're really just playing. And so when you're on the sideline, you kind of take that from a coach's point of view, and you really kind of dial into what the team is doing and what they're trying to do. So it's more like analytics and stuff like that. But you just see guys step up. Like I said, Bouchon and Lloyd-Hammer both played great minutes tight end. So shout out my tight end boys.
The Kuntz will help shore up the offensive line, aside from catching a few passes. Now, offensive line coach Dave Jagla says they've been working to improve this week after Wenatchee's lowest rushing output in a 15-10 win against West Valley.
And try to improve on everything we do. We watch film and fix problems. Just like last week, we had some problems and we fixed them and had a good week of practice.
What is that for those that aren't inside the football room when you guys are doing film and things like that? Just as fans will go, I don't know what's going on, but something's happening. So is that the defense provides you a look you didn't expect? Is it just guys not maybe missing an assignment here and there? How does that happen?
We usually are pretty in tune with the defensive front. I coach O-line, so the line, each guy has a job, and I expect them to do their job, and they have a progression of things they got to get done every play, whether it's their first step or their head leverage or where to place their hands or keep feet moving or finish their blocks. And every week is something new, and we just got to improve. We really preach it every week that, you do your job, the team will ride your shoulders. If we don't do our job, maybe like last week, then we got to do something different.
Well, it's been some spectacular running so far this year with Nate back there. And what does he bring, and what does he help you? I don't know if he makes you look better. The offensive line has to make the blocks for him to have the holes, but, man, he's slippery.
Nate makes us look better. Yeah, it's obvious on film. He does stuff that running backs don't do. We've had a couple here in my 20 years, and he's one of the best, and it's fun to block for him. We give him a little hole. He makes a bigger hole. He breaks tackles, gets some yards after contact. Mm-hmm. So
be sure and join us for Friday Night Lights tomorrow night. Leave-off field of the Apple Bowl. It's Wenatchee and Davis. Our pregame at 6:45 here on the NCW Life Channel. Coming up on the prep schedule for today, we have girls soccer. Manson travels to Bridgeport at 4 o'clock, while Omak hosts Cascade. Cashmere will kick off at 4:30 this afternoon against Okanagan at home. Then tonight at 6, it's Quincy at Sela in the Central Washington Athletic Conference. On the girls' volleyball courts tonight, Waterville-Mansfield hosts Soap Lake. Oroville's at Manson. Bridgeport hosts Entiat. Omak travels to Cascade, and Cashmere takes on Okanagan, all at 6:30. At 7, it's Battle of the Basin on the volleyball court, Quincy at Ephrata, while Eastmont hosts Cross River rival Wenatchee. The CWAC has a couple of cross-country meets today with Grandview and Prosser at Ephrata, while Wapato hosts Quincy and Othello. Both those runs start at 5 o'clock. And in the pool, Eastmont battles Moses Lake in the Wenatchee pool. Since its pool is under construction, swimmers will take their marks at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And they hope to get Game 3 of the American League Championship Series in today. It rained out yesterday. If you tuned on FS1 last night, it kind of confusing because you're like, wait a minute, I've seen this game. Oh, they reran Game 2, so Game 3 coming up tonight. And Yankee fans are all Twitter because Tanaka's going to have a full rest to pitch tonight. He'll go up against Zach Greinke, who's kind of had a shaky postseason here so far. 5:08 first pitch on FS1. for that tonight. 25 minutes past the hour. That's sports news here on the NCW Life channel. I'll have more coming up tonight with Grant on our evening newscast. Get you more of a preview of Eastmont and Wenatchee's football games coming up. It's time for a look at today's obscure holiday for the 17th day of October. This is all stuff that was left to me from Dan, so I didn't make any of the selections here. It's all on Dan. I'm just doing what he had laid out because he was supposed to be here, and now I'm here, so here you go. Today is Wear Something Gaudy Day. Now, I could see Dan definitely doing something along these lines. Celebrate this unofficial holiday by wearing anything flashy out of your closet. Bright colors, the better. Gaudy. It's Wear Something Gaudy Day. This is believed to have been a holiday, well, an unofficial holiday, started by Larry from Three's Company. Remember that? Well, for Megan, she's probably... Have you ever seen Three's Company, the TV show? Yeah. We're constantly making references in the newsroom here to our younger ones around here, and they have no clue what we're talking about. But Larry, remember Larry was the buddy of Jack Tripper on Three's Company. He always kind of wore some gaudy stuff. But anyway, the show on TV based out of Santa Monica, California from 1977 to 1984. Supposedly Larry, his character, was the start of the gaudy clothing. So wear something gaudy today. It's National Gaudy Day. All right, this day in history, it was October 17th, 205 years ago in 1814, the London beer flood. A huge vat containing over 135,000 gallons of beer ruptured, causing other vats in the same building to succumb to the domino effect. As a result, more than 323,000 gallons of beer burst out and gushed into the streets. The wave of beer destroyed 2 homes and actually killed 8 people. Now, there was a 9th who tried to drink it all. He had his stomach pumped and he was okay. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, how about that? That's a lot of beer all in one place. You know, some people think, oh, wow, I'll try to, stem that flow. No, I don't think so. On this date, 100 years ago in 1919, RCA is incorporated as the Radio Corporation of America. At its height as an independent company, RCA was the dominant communications firm in the U.S. Beginning in the 1920s, it was a major manufacturer of radio receivers and also developed the first national radio network, the National Broadcasting Company, NBC. It had a leading role in the introduction of black and white television in the 1940s and 50s and color TV in the 1950s and 60s. RCA incorporated on this date in 1919. Happy birthday to RCA. You know, by the way, I was thoroughly depressed here recently. I was looking for a good AM radio receiver. Went to several different stores. They don't make them anymore. That's where we've gone in the world of radio. Sad. 54 years ago today, 1965, the New York World's Fair closed after a 2-year run. More than 51 million people attended the event. 30 years ago today, in 1989, the Loma Prieta earthquake shook in the San Francisco Bay Area, the Central Coast. 63 people were killed in that event. 27 years ago, in 1992, having gone to the wrong house for a Halloween party, Japanese exchange student Yoshihiro Hattori is shot and killed by Rodney Pierres at Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was questioned and released by the police. He was not charged with a crime until the governor intervened. Pierres was charged with manslaughter and later acquitted. Horrible story. On this date, that's it. That's all. There is no more as far as this day in history. We go to birthdays now, right? Is that where we're at? Okay, celebrity birthdays. Rita Hayworth was born on this date in 1918, American actress, singer, dancer, most glamorous and famous female screen idol back in the 1940s. Look at that photo, wow. Born on this date in 1918, she passed away in 1987 at the age of 68. Don Coryell, Air Coryell, we should say, American football player and coach, was born on this date in 1924. He was the first to ever win more than 100 games at both the collegiate and professional level. He head coached the Wenatchee Valley Knights back in 1955, by the way. Did you know that? Yes, Don Coryell, born on this date in 1924. He passed away at the age of 85 in 2010. 1938, Evel Knievel was born, American motorcycle rider and stuntman. He was born and raised in Butte, Montana. 7 of 10 highest-rated episodes of ABC's Wide World of Sports had something to do with Evel Knievel breaking bones in his body. He passed away in 2007 at the age of 69. And Mike Judge, the American animator, director, screenwriter, producer, and actor, Beavis and Butthead, of course, very famous for that, King of the Hill, Silicon Valley. Mike Judge celebrating his 57th birthday today. If it's your birthday, well, happy birthday, and you can let us know about your birthday, too. Just reach out to us on the show through our Facebook page at the NCW Life channel. Before we get any further, at 30 minutes past the hour, a reminder that we're looking at some clouds moving in, maybe a chance of a little rain in the midday today. We're starting off with a nice day so far, and the temperature actually dropped a degree, 42 outside our studios here in downtown Wenatchee. Mike Magnotti has his opinion coming up. Also, our special guest today is Dr. Julie Smith with Confluence Health. She'll be in, as Dan got a chance to sit down with her the other day and talk about Breast Cancer Awareness Month that's coming up with Confluence Health in the last portion of our program. But before we get too much further, let's do our Kennel Cameos for the day. Megan McPherson introduces us to Oxford the dog.
Hey guys, Megan here with the NCW Life channel. We're here with Jenny, the volunteer coordinator at the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society, and joining us this week is Oxford. Can you tell us about Oxford?
I sure can. Oxford's a 5-year-old, pretty active guy. He's a favorite of one of our volunteers here who takes him out pretty much every morning out on the trails. So Oxford would be great in a home that was active, that liked to go out with him. He's also independent, so he's happy to be at home when you're gone. He should probably be in a home with no cats. He does have a friend here at the shelter and play group. He has a strong female personality, so if you do have another dog, it would be recommended to have him meet Oxford first because we're just really unsure how he would do.
And how is he with kids?
We're not really sure. He's not too jumpy and stuff, so we'd probably be okay with older kids for sure. And he is active, so he does like to play.
And if someone's interested in adopting him, what should they do?
They should come on down to the shelter and meet him. Hi. And he's ready to go.
The Wenatchee Valley Humane Society is located at 1474 South Wenatchee Avenue and is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Give them a call at 509-662-9577 or visit their website at wenatcheehumane.org. This has been Kennel Cameos at the Wenatchee Valley Humane Society.
Hey, this is Sean from The Walk, and we're doing a major remodel in Wenatchee. So come on up to Leavenworth and get your walk on. We'd be happy to see you up there. The Walkabout Grill, open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner, where eating out is eating healthy.
Arctic Refrigeration and Heating, serving North Central Washington, is proud to offer the finest heating and cooling air quality products along with prompt and professional customer service since 1984. Regardless of the temperature outside, Arctic is here for you. Arctic offers a variety of services: residential and commercial heating, air conditioning, commercial refrigeration, as well as planned fall and spring maintenance for the overall well-being of your system. Call Arctic Refrigeration and Heating for your heating and cooling needs.
Travel enhances your life in every way. Let the travel professionals at Journey Travel and Tours help you plan that dream vacation. Don't leave the important details to those nameless, faceless online agencies. At Journey Travel and Tours, our goal is to build relationships that last a lifetime. And when you do need help, we have a 24-hour helpline that is routed to one of the agents in our office. When you think travel, think Journey Travel and Tours. It's where your journey begins. Like us on Facebook, and you could be one of our monthly winners.
Transform your windows with a variety of colors and styles like the Allure Transitional Window Covering by Lafayette Interior Fashions. Hi, this is Darren with Mini Blinds and More. We can install the latest and greatest in technology to open and close your blinds with only a touch of a button. From the largest windows in your home to room darkening shades for the bedroom. From stylish shades for your entertainment room to custom blinds for those hard-to-fit places. We have a solution for all of your window covering needs. We offer a variety of window coverings from Lafayette Interior Fashions. Call us today We are Mini Blinds and More, your local blind store.
Being able to support yourself and your family is an important part of who we are. We all need to know we're able to provide ourselves with a secure future. Some job seekers have a harder time finding work. That's why Goodwill's Employment Connection Center is here, a free walk-in job search assistance program designed to help people find work. When you shop at or donate to Goodwill, you're really being a job creator, and that's a good thing for everyone's future. Goodwill. There's more behind the store.
Come see how very different you will feel in your Bullfrog Spa.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, I sometimes see on Facebook posts about pictures of police officers in full SWAT gear and the like, stating that these officers are heroes, men and women of courage, and they are. Hey, no doubt, believe me. But a lot of that, if I may say so, is just sometimes macho posing. Not in any way to show disrespect to those involved in the aggressive and potentially violent side of police work, but there's another side of police heroism. Those cops who deal with wounded victims, very often children. Wounds that are not physical, but instead emotional and psychological. It's these interactions with the most vulnerable members of our society which caused cop-turned-author Joseph Wumbaugh to say that it's the emotional and psychological stressors of these kind of contacts that make police work the world's most dangerous profession. Now, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
How much are you paying for adult, family, or assisted living? Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living offers one-bedroom apartments for one affordable price. Their rates are all-inclusive, no nickel or diming or sudden increases, just one set price. You or your loved one will receive good food and excellent care in a relaxed, home-like environment. Stop on by for a tour to see if the Epladolin family is the right choice for you.
Family-owned and operated Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living in Kashmir. Affordable care.
People are really skeptical of our industry. They have been sold products, they have been sold policies they either don't need, don't understand, confusing. I understand that. We are more about the process and the people. Our SFG roadmap is designed to take care of all of those concerns. For those that have questions about their retirement, we would love the opportunity to sit down and chat with you.
At the Siren Song Vineyard Estate Winery and Restaurant on the south shore of Lake Chelan, you'll discover a variety of handcrafted wines and a European-inspired menu. Join us for live music, private events and weddings, cooking classes, and more. Sip, dine, and take in the stunning views of Lake Chelan at Siren Song. Visit sirensongwines.com for hours and event information. Everyone has a siren song. What's yours?
When you're ready to purchase your next vehicle, make sure you stop by Sangster Motors. They're your locally owned and operated Buick and GMC dealer offering 4 acres of new and quality used inventory. Their philosophy is simple. They offer you the best product at a competitive price, all with impeccable service. Stop in today, have some popcorn or coffee at Gear Up Java, let the kids play, and talk with one of the Sangsters about your next vehicle. You'll find them on the corner of 9th and Miller in Wenatchee or online at sangstermotors.com. Caring about your family is what brings you back to theirs.
Welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and to talk about that and all the good work that she does, and she does very good work, and she plays a pretty mean piano too, I might add. Dr. Julie Smith is an oncologist at Confluence Health. Confluence Health has a monthly visit. If we made it a weekly visit, I'll have to raise my rates. It's a monthly visit with us here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Good to see you, Dr. Smith, again. Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
Good,
to be here.
Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I did my homework, and for the most part, there's some pretty good news going on out there. It's not like it was 1990 or even 15 years ago. Headway is being made on the treatment
of breast cancer, especially amongst older women.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have seen, like you alluded, enormous headway in the treatment of many cancers, and breast cancer is one of those. And for the past 20 years, we have seen improvement in overall survivals and improvement in cure rates every single year. We expect 30 million new cancer survivors in the next 5 years in this country.
Oh, that's good news.
Yeah.
That's good news. More good news. If it gets diagnosed enough and it hasn't spread anywhere, if it's non-invasive, 5-year survival rate is 99%.
Correct.
It wasn't that way even 10 years ago.
Right. So that's one of the beauties of early detection, and that's one of the reasons that I wanted to be here today, was to talk about how important it is to know your risk factors, to have a conversation with your healthcare provider that's called a shared decision-making conversation, and to discuss when should a woman start mammograms, how frequently should they have mammograms, what are their risk factors, because our goal is detect and prevent at a much earlier stage so that we can cure more women and prevent cancer from ever happening.
Obviously, the number one cause of breast cancer is hereditary. There are some things that you can do to cut down on your risk, but that's really the number one cause, is if it runs in your family, you have an increased risk of getting breast cancer, correct?
Yes, yes. There's other risk factors that women should know about. So it's really important to know your family history, meaning if there's any first-degree relatives with breast cancer or ovarian cancer, male breast cancer, those kind of things. That's a conversation to have with your physician or your healthcare provider. Other risk factors would be starting your menstrual cycles earlier in life or going through menopause later in life. Women who haven't had no full-term pregnancies, they're at slightly increased risk, so that's another risk factor. Other things that we are talking more and more with women about in the past 10 to 20 years is hormone replacement therapy right for them at the time of menopause or not?
And that's been a huge development in the world of treatment of breast cancer. It's been one of the leading reasons that people are living longer.
Yes, yes.
It's hormone replacement therapy.
Well, to really have the conversation, is hormone replacement therapy right for you and for how many years, and what other strategies can be used to relieve some of those menopause symptoms? We do know that the majority of breast cancers, as is diagnosed throughout life, are driven by hormones. So decreasing high-risk exposure improves overall survival. And in fact, one of our main treatments that we use when somebody is diagnosed with that type of breast cancer is blocking their estrogen.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes absolute sense. As a general rule of thumb, the older a woman gets, even if she has no hereditary history or family history of breast cancer, do the odds of getting breast cancer or being diagnosed with breast cancer increase as you age, regardless of your medical history?
Yes. So it's unusual. We still see it, but it's unusual or uncommon to have breast cancer diagnosed between the ages of 40 and 50. But each decade of life that goes on, we see slightly increased risk. And there's a lot of factors for that. Some of those are modifiable and some of those aren't modifiable. But the conversation, this shared decision-making conversation I talked about, should continue every year and decade throughout a woman's lifetime.
So starting when? Let's say you have no family history of any kind of significant cancer, be it breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or you name it. When should a woman sit down with Dr. Smith and say, okay, well, I feel fine, I have no lumps, but we still need to talk about it? At what point do you need to sit down and talk to Dr. Smith if you have, say, no history of breast cancer in your family?
So most recommendations from national societies say that conversation needs to happen at age 40. Okay. And that's a risk assessment conversation, talking about family history, other risk factors that somebody may have, what risk factors can be changed, like diet and exercise, maintaining a healthy body weight, not smoking, not drinking. Those are all modifiable risk factors that can be changed. So beginning age 40, that conversation of what is your risk? Are you average risk, high risk, low risk? When do you start mammograms at that time or not? It is recommended that by age 50, every woman be getting routine mammography to help detect early breast cancer and prevent breast cancer deaths. That conversation between the age of 50 and 75 is ongoing conversation between a woman and her healthcare provider of how frequently to have mammograms. Most societies recommend at a minimum every 2 years, if not every single year for those women. Then after age 75, ongoing conversations about what's your underlying health like? What's your life expectancy? What other medical conditions do you have? And that's another conversation and decision that's ongoing about how frequently to continue mammography at that point.
How about self-examination? Do women know how to self-examine? Look for lumps, feel for lumps?
So, self-breast awareness or self-breast examination is something that the more you do it, the more skilled you get at finding changes. And women who are higher risk, average risk or higher of breast cancer, it is useful to know what is my baseline, how does my baseline change during my month, depending on when that period's going to happen or that menstrual cycle. And knowing, well, there may be some normal changes that go along with those hormone fluctuations, but being aware so that if there is a change, that can be brought to medical attention quickly.
What if you have absolutely no clue of your medical history? You're adopted, for instance, or whatever. You don't know what your genetic tree is. What about that? I mean, say like 30, just go in and say, you know, I don't really know what my medical history is. I don't know what my biological background is.
So with no known high-risk features, we would say that the risk of overdiagnosis or harm or false positives under the age of 40 is higher. And so no known history of family and average risk factors otherwise, we would recommend age 40. That's the
highest rate of cancer among all women is skin cancer. Breast cancer is second on that list. In fact, 50% of all new cancer cases diagnosed every year is breast cancer, which is still an alarming figure. And yet it's still a crapshoot, isn't it? Not just breast cancer, but cancer as a whole. I mean, I know people who had a family history of breast cancer, never got it, lived a long and healthy life, never once had to deal with breast cancer. And then I have another friend whose family history had never had anything to do with breast cancer, with long documented family history, and she got breast cancer. I mean, it's
right.
The big C is a crapshoot in a lot of respects, isn't it?
Right. So the risk of developing breast cancer, or the incidence, I should say, meaning how frequently it's diagnosed, is increasing in our country. Part of that has to do with better treatment of other underlying medical conditions. People live many more decades than they used to, so that risk increases with age. We now know that about 1 in 8 or 9 women will develop breast cancer during their lifetime. So that's around 11 to 12% of women will have a diagnosis. Most women are diagnosed at much earlier stages than prior.
Which is always good news.
Yes.
Again, that survival rate, early detection, as long as it's non-invasive, it hasn't spread. 99% survival rate, 5-year survival rate.
Right.
That's just encouraging.
Yes, it is.
We mentioned hormone replacement therapy after menopause is one of the things that have been one of the cutting edges of treating breast cancer. What else is the latest in the medical development from a technological and treatment standpoint of breast cancer that you got your eye on? Because I know you keep your finger on the pulse of all this stuff.
Right. So some of the biggest strides that have been made in breast cancer treatment have to do with personalized medicine. So we refer to cancer treatment nowadays as targeted or personalized or precision medicine, meaning one breast cancer is not the same from one woman to the next. There's features that are very unique, and treatment decisions need to be based on what is the features of that cancer, not just the stage, meaning the size and if lymph nodes are involved or not, but if it's hormone responsive, if there's other genes that are involved in the development of that breast cancer, other mutations, meaning DNA changes that may develop in the breast cancer that we have targeted therapies directed at that get to the root cause of why that cancer developed.
As a physician, as an oncologist, what's it like when you sit down with a patient and they've gone through all the treatment, they were diagnosed, they've gone through it, and you can sit down and you can say, Janet, you're good to go. You're fine. Is that one of those? This is why I became a doctor.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's one of the most satisfying things that I've been able to experience in my career is see more and more, not just breast cancer women, but all cancer patients through their treatment and living more years, if not more apt to be cured. And so this is bringing such satisfaction to be practicing medicine and have these kind of treatments and early detection modalities available at this day and age. It's only getting better and better. So the concept of survivorship of breast cancer is more and more important. Survivorship means, what did I just go through? What was my stage? What was my treatment? What do I watch out for? What may be some long-term side effects? But better yet, how do I modify my risk factors? Because 30 to 50% of all cancers may be preventable.
Yeah, 3.5 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. That's good news, because it used to be, if you were diagnosed, it was like, oh, this is it's not good. But when you have that kind of figure that we can throw out there, that makes me feel good to hear about that. Where do we go from here? Doc, I'm 40 years old. I'm a woman. I do a regular physical. Never had a mammogram. Don't really have any history of breast cancer, but still, where do we go from here? You have pamphlets, things you can look at. Just come down and pay you a visit. What do we do?
So there are pamphlets that we have available to look at. Those are called decision tools to help women become educated, and we have those in print form. Women get them electronically at the time of their birthday through their MyChart, which is an electronic password to your medical record.
My favorite thing at Confluence Health. Well, the people are fantastic, but the MyChart thing is just cool beans.
Yeah. Ideally, the woman would have a visit with their healthcare provider, whether that be their family practice doc or their internal medicine doctor or their OBGYN or their geriatrician or whatnot, and have that conversation and talk about risk factors and whether screening mammogram is right at that time and how frequently, but to also have what's called a clinician breast exam, where the healthcare provider does a breast exam, because they are skilled at picking up small changes and knowing what's normal and abnormal, and they can educate women at that time on how to become aware of their self-breast exam. I do want to add that women can also request and schedule their own mammogram. Okay. So it's not 100% required to have that visit. We like women to have that visit because that visit encompasses, like I said, risk factor discussion, lifestyle modification, a lot of talk about healthy diet and exercise, things that are really important to prevent a lot of cancers. But you can also schedule your mammogram without a visit.
Pay attention to your earthly vessel. There's a good thought. Hey, if there's something not right, don't just get it. Call them up and let's get this, get this taken care of. Make a phone call. Have an appointment done. How's your piano playing? You still tickle the ivories every now and again?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What's your favorite pieces to play? Classical?
Yes.
Kind of a Chopin, Mozart kind of a thing. What do you?
I like Claude Debussy.
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, we'll pass the word to Claude. Who's going to be my guest on tomorrow's show, I might add, via Skype.
Nice.
I don't have that kind of power. Doc, it's good to see you again. Keep up the good work. Anything that develops in the world of breast cancer survival rates and all kinds of good stuff, treatment, come back and pay me a visit. It doesn't have to be every October, all right?
Right.
There you go. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
The world around us is constantly changing. Major employers in North Central Washington have expressed a need for capable, qualified engineering technologists who can think critically and solve problems. And at Wenatchee Valley College, we listened. We are pleased to offer a Bachelor of Applied Science Engineering Technology degree to provide you with a world of new opportunities. Your time is now. The future is waiting for you.
Cosmetic surgery and treatment is the most personal of decisions. It is also a field that's evolving at an incredible pace. Dr. Jones, board-certified plastic surgeon, understands that once you arrive at the decision to enhance your appearance, you'll want proven, safe, state-of-the-art technology. You'll find this at Valley Plastic Surgery, delivered by an experienced and caring staff. Dr. Jones and his staff are ready to welcome you.
Bring the whole family up to Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house in historic downtown Chelan. Applewood smoked brisket, street-style tacos, and our award-winning barbecue rubs and sauces. Our meals pair perfectly with our exciting lineup of craft ales, made right here in Chelan. We've got room for big groups, or give us a call for catering. So grab the kids and check out the fun at Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house located in the heart of Chelan.
Scare Crazy in Cashmere. It's a spooktacular good time all month long in Cashmere. Scarecrows will be waiting for you throughout the town. Silly ones, spooky ones, and everything in between. Yeah, it's Scare Crazy in Cashmere. Bring the family and find the scarecrows all around Cashmere. And be sure to thank these fine sponsors.
Club Crow Bar and Grill, home of the blues, brews, and barbecue in downtown Cashmere. Cashmere Chamber of Commerce. Stop by the chamber and pick up your free Scarecrow tour map.
"55 minutes past the hour here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Thanks again to Dr. Smith for joining us from Confluence Health, and Dan for being healthy enough to do that interview here the other day for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Eric Grantstrom filling in for just a few more minutes before we wrap up the show today. Don't forget, Grant Olson has your evening news tonight coming up at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. I'll drop in as well and give you some sports and give you more of a preview of what's coming up tomorrow night with the big clash, Eastmont at Sunnyside. As we went into the Big 9 football season, all the coaches here locally said it's going to be Wenatchee, Eastmont, Sunnyside. Those are the top three teams, and certainly that has been the case. We'll have Davis and Wenatchee tomorrow night here on the Friday Night Lights on the NCW Live channel, so be sure and join Grant and I for that. 6:45 with the pregame. And I forgot to mention during sports, tonight's hockey night on the NCW Live channel starts at 7 o'clock. Art Checker, whether you play-by-play. We'll go back to last weekend and a game between the West Kelowna Warriors and your Wenatchee Wild. That's tonight, 7 o'clock, hockey night here on your television home for the Wenatchee Wild, the NCW Live channel. Well, as we look out and about, it's a beautiful morning. Let's take a look at those camera views again from our Sky-Fi wireless network provided by Localtel. This is our view from the cross camera above on Wenatchee Heights. And what a gorgeous start to this Thursday. Now, according to the National Weather Service, of course, I think they're back there flipping coins on guessing what the weather's going to do. But they say it's going to cloud up and maybe give us a chance of rain by the noon hour today. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But right now, it's beautiful. Mostly clear skies and 41 degrees in the Wenatchee Valley. Camera 2, as we go around the Valley View cameras again from Sky-Fi Wireless Network, looking up river. This is up the Columbia. You can see a little riffle out there. The forecast was calling for a little bit of wind today, not a lot, but you can see the riffle on the water there as we're looking towards Orondo this morning, and they are probably about, 15, 20 minutes away from sun caressing the shores of the metropolis of Orondo this morning. To camera 3 we go and say what's happening. Oh, it got kind of dark this morning. That's looking across at Chelan from Manson. And just the shadows created by the rising sun have kind of caused things to get a little dark there this morning. So an ominous start to the day as we look towards Chelan from Manson this morning. Good morning, Lake Chelan. Thanks for joining us on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. And then our final camera view this morning is way up on Monument Hill. That's up on the Quincy. They call it Quincy Valley, which I'm kind of curious about. Always have been since I moved here back in the early 90s. About why they call it Quincy Valley, because it's kind of a plateau there, but the basin, we'll call it the basin, but that's up on Monument Hill looking off to the west, and are kind of cascades. Sometimes we can see it pretty clearly, a little obscured by some high haze, but I don't see any big clouds on that horizon, at least as far as that view is concerned. But forecast is calling for clouds to move in today. In fact, let's take a look at that forecast here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley before we wrap up the show. A couple of minutes left. With the cloudy skies moving in, 30% chance of showers today, 58 they say our high will be. Tonight, we're looking at clouds and showers possible, low 42. Tomorrow, morning rain, then sunshine in the afternoon, maybe a little breezy in time for football tomorrow night, 55 the high. Weekend forecast, lots of rain coming in Saturday through Saturday night and lingering into Sunday morning. We're going to have the showers continue through Monday. High temperatures in the upper 50s to low 60s. Nighttime lows, you could see Saturday night get down in the upper 30s. That could change things from rain to snow in the higher elevations In fact, that Blood, Sweat, and Beers event they were going to do this weekend has been canceled because of the possibility of some snow in the higher elevations. So that's been scrubbed for the weekend. But we'll get Grant in coming up tonight with your local weather forecast. And Grant is a former meteorologist identified by the Meteorological Society, and he has a much better grasp on what's happening as far as the weather is concerned. So Grant will have that coming up in our evening news tonight at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock right here on the local TV station, the NCW Life Channel. Thanks for watching this morning. Dan hopefully will be back and healthy tomorrow. If not, I can come back in again. That's fine. But have a good day today for this Thursday, day before, October 17th. We'll put a plug in the jug on the show today, and we'll ramp it up and do it again tomorrow morning, starting at 7, at 9, and 11 p.m. Whatever one you're watching. Thanks for being here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life Channel. It's going to do it for me. I'll see you tonight during the newscast with some sports, and we've got more programming coming up. So have a good Friday.